Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, the flights and community. Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome back here to another Viper Strike 95 stream. Today, we're here in Montana. Today, we're in the Big Sky Country. Welcome to Montana, everyone. Hope you're all doing well here today. And today, we're here to explore part 41 of 50 of our 50 U.S. states here in Montana. Yes, we only have 10 more states left to cover. And we're on our last part of our journey here, part 5. And we're going to cover the last 10 states over the next 5 weeks. The last 10 states. Pretty crazy to think about. We're nearly at the end of our journey. So Montana, for you guys don't know, really beautiful state. Tons of really cool things about Montana. It's a very unique state. It's absolutely huge, but it's not very populated. And most importantly, too, some of the scenery here is some of the best in the continental 48. So before we get started, I do want to say hello to everyone in chat. I hope you guys are all doing well. So all the lurker stuff, hello to you guys as well. So today, here's our flight plan for this morning streams. So this morning we'll be doing some flying. We'll be taking off here at Billings Logan International Airport. We'll fly over Billings for a bit, check out Billings for a little bit. Once we fly over Billings, we're going to head out west and make our way to our first stop here in beautiful Bozeman, one of the gateways to the Yellowstone National Park, along with Jackson, one of the two big gateways to Yellowstone. So we'll stop here at Bozeman Yellowstone International. Busiest airport in Montana, by the way. Then for Bozeman, we'll head our way west. We'll visit the historic mine community of Butte, visiting one of the largest mines of its time, Berkeley Pit. Absolutely huge mine. Then we're going to head up northeast and make our second stop of the day here in Helena. This is the state capital of Montana, by the way. We'll stop at Helena Regional. And then finally from Helena, we'll make our way west over to the historic college town and community of Missoula. And we'll make our final stop here at Missoula International Airport, Kilo Mike Sierra Oscar. So that is going to be where we're at today. Typhon says, what are your highlights of Expo? Actually, I wasn't really keeping track of Expo much this year. I do apologize. I was busy working on flight plans and stuff. But if I gotta say the highlight of Expo, if I had to pick one thing for Expo, I think is the highlight. I think it has to be the A28 Aerostar, because I think that's really cool. A28 always make really great products. I think that's the highlight of Expo to me. But I mean, I think that's to me my Expo highlight is that A28 Aerostar. So, um, the plane we're taking here today is a very unique plane. This is the Dornier Sea Star. And yes, I wanted to take this plane out today because it's a very unique plane. It was actually a prototype. It was built by Dornier back in the 80s. It was a turbo-powered plane with composite materials. It was revolutionary at the time. And it was also unique as it was a push-pull plane. But she can go up to a cruise speed of 180 knots. She has a range of nearly 1,000 miles. She was definitely a very cool plane, and right now they're actually already building more of these planes. They're about to get new production in the future, but it's a very neat plane. And like I said, I wanted to take something a little different for this stream here. I want to take something a little different. So I'm gonna take a quick break. I gotta take a quick bar break back. I'll be back in just Thanks, guys. I'm back. So let's get this Dornier Sea Star started. So go ahead and get these batteries and stuff on. So yeah, you can definitely see AT Simulations make this plane, by the way. Really cool plane. They're the guys who made the AN2. So so oh, I forgot to turn off. Oh, I forgot to get rid of the engine cover thing. So, so we're going to be taking off here from Billings Logan Airport. This is the main airport of Montana's largest city of Billings. It used to be the biggest airport in the state, though that's been long since surpassed by Bozeman. That being said, this airport has several nonstop flights to several hub airports like Dallas, Denver, Minneapolis, Portland, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Chicago. It's also a hub for Cape Air, which does a lot of flights to Cessna 42 to several smaller communities in Montana, including Glasgow, Glendive, Harve, Sydney, and Wolf Point. But yeah, it used to be the biggest airport in the States. However, nowadays it's been surpassed by Bozeman, but still used for several cargo stuff too. Of course, Billings, Montana is definitely pretty interesting as well. Billings is Montana's most populous city. It's known as the Magic City due to the fact that it was rapidly grew as a railroad town back in 1882. The nearby Crow and Cheyenne peoples call the city Amalapashuka and Excavata, respectively, meaning where they cut wood, due to the sawmill that was built by the settlers. It experienced an 89% growth between 1969 and 2021, compared to the rest of the state, which is quite a bit. And it fuels for much of the trade here in eastern Montana. Several attractions here in the city include the Zoo Montana, Yellowstone Art Museum, Pompey's Pillar, Pictograph Cave, the Little Bighorn Battlefield, Bighorn Canyon, and Beartooth Highway are some of the main attractions here in this part of Montana. Go ahead. Get the Sea Star in the air. And we're up. So we're firing up here in beautiful Billings. So our first leg altitude, by the way, we're going to be climbing up to 7,500. This here is Billings, Montana. Here's Billings, Montana's largest city. Definitely a pretty cool city here in Montana. So we can look at the scenery right here. Beautiful scenery here in Montana. You can see the cliffs up here. Just gorgeous city. Billings is. Yeah, you can look at the beautiful river. Billings is pretty, especially in this eastern part of Montana. Let's look outside to our right. So this is downtown Billings. We can see here to our right. There's Billings. So we're going to climb it to 7,500 feet. We're going to climb it to 7,500 feet. I mean, the max altitude for this entire thing is 9,000. That's where we're going to be climbing up here. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Montana for a bit. So what's so special about the U.S. state of Montana? Well, you see, Montana is pretty unique, the U.S. state, because Montana is actually a pretty recent state, but it's part of the Mountain West region of the United States of America. This is a completely landlocked state, by the way. It's bordered by several states, including Idaho to the west, North Dakota to the east, South Dakota to the southeast, Wyoming to the south, and also by the Canadian provinces of Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan. Now, people don't believe this, but Montana is actually one of our nation's largest states by land area. It's the fourth largest, only behind Alaska, Texas, and California in land area. But it's our nation's eighth least populous state in the country, and the third least densely populated state in the United States. Only trailing behind Alaska and Wyoming as the least densely populated states in the country. Its capital is Helena. Most populous city is Billings. But what really grew Montana as a state back in the 19th century was mining. Particularly around Boone, Helena would remain the main economic engine of the state through the 20th century. The state has no official nickname, but there are several unofficial ones, most notably Big Sky Country, the Treasure State, and the Last Best Place. And its economy is mainly on agriculture, ranching, and cereal grain farming, with other resources include oil, gas, coal, mining, and lumber, as well as healthcare, service, defense, and government as well. But of course, Montana's biggest sector and fastest growing is tourism, as 12 million tourists visit Montana each year as of 2019. But yes, Montana definitely is a beautiful state. It's one of our most gorgeous states in the country. And trust me, we'll be in Montana quite a bit for our next series, our National Park series. We will be in Montana for a good bit. we'll get used to flying in Montana throughout the next couple stuff for our series. The history of Montana dates back to the original peoples. The indigenous people inhabited much of Montana for thousands of years. Historic tribes encountered by many European settlers include that of the Crow in the south central Montana, the Cheyenne Lakota in the southeast, the Blackfeet, Assiniboine, and Gros Ventrus in the central north central area, and the Kootenai and Salish peoples in the west. You also have the different Kalispel tribes that live in the Flathead Lake and Western Mountains, and the part of southeast Montana was also used by the Crows. Of course, as part of the Montana-Missouri River watershed, all the land east of Montana, east of this continental divide, was purchased into Louisiana Purchase in 1803, except for the north part of the Northeast, which is part of the Hudson Bay drainage. That was part of Canada. Eventually, this was settled by the continental divide by the 49th parallel back in 1809. Of course, indigenous people were devastated by the diseases from the fur traders, so much of the indigenous people were completely devastated. And of course, the first permanent settlement by Euro-Americans in what is Montana is St. Mary's, established in 1841 near present-day Stevensville. And the first gold discovered in the state was in 1852 at Gold Creek, near present-day Garrison, Montana. And gold mining didn't begin into this region until 1802. The richest of all the gold diggings, however, they found was in Alder Gulch, where the town of Virginia City, Montana was established. And there was a couple of other gold stuff as well. However, nowadays, silver has actually been more important than gold. Of course, Montana became a territory of the United States back in 1864. And the first territorial company was actually in Bannock, currently now a ghost town. And the first territorial governor was Sidney Edgerton, who was a lawyer, judge, and teacher from Ohio. And the territory was then moved to the rich gold city of Virginia City in 1865, and finally in 1875 moved to its present-day capital of Helena. Of course, major battles in Montana were mainly against the native tribes, including the Red Cloud War, Great Sioux War of 1876, and the Nez Perce War, were all major conflicts between the United States Army and the indigenous tribes. And the last recorded conflict in Montana between U.S. and Native Americans was in 1887 at the Battle Crow Agency in Bighorn Country. And the natives had to be moved to reservations all across the state. Also around this time, bison were being destroyed. And of course, cattle ranching was a big part of Montana's history, as Johnny Grant's speaking winter in cattle here. And trained cattle was found in much of the Montana valleys on the Oregon Trail. Cattle ranching was a big part of much of the early 19th century for the United States, for much of people in Montana. Under territorial governor Thomas Meagher, Montanans held a constitutional convention in 1866 and a failed bid for statehood. And then just nearly 20 years later, there was another attempt for statehood in 1884, which was ratified by Montana's citizens. However, Congress did not approve Montana statehood until 1889 for political reasons, when Grover Cleveland signed an omnibus bill to grant statehood to both Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Washington. Well, the Dakotans were first, so as a result, this became the 41st state in the country in November 8th, 1889. As the Union's 41st state, and its first governor was Joseph K. Toole. And at one point during the 1880s, Helena actually had more millionaires per capita than any U.S. city in the country. Yes, Helena. Which is pretty crazy to think about it. Of course, the Homestead Act in 1862 provided free land to settlers, and it brought a lot of people over to the state of Montana. And there are even more stuff that was passed in 1887 to get even more people. As a result, there are a lot of people who made their way into Montana over the rest of the 19th and early 20th century. Of course, Montana was involved in World War One, but one interesting person from Montana actually was unique. Jeanette Rankin, who was also the first woman to be a member of Congress in the United States, she actually was one of the people who actually voted against the U.S. Declaration of War against Germany in World War One. She was very much a pacifist, it turns out. Rankin was very much a lifelong pacifist. However, her actions were very much criticized in Montana, where war and patriotism were strong. And actually, believe it or not, due to miscalculation of the state's population, 40,000 Montanans actually served in World War One, which is 25% higher than any other state per capita, which is pretty crazy to think about it. More Montanans served per capita in the U.S. military World War than any other state. Pretty crazy to think about. As well. Of course, after World War One, the Great Depression, the economic depression happened in Montana, and it lasted until the beginning of World War Two. Due to all the economic depression stuff, it caused a hardship for a lot of the farmers, ranchers, and miners throughout the state. Then, of course, Montana was entered into World War as the U.S. entered World War II. Many Montanans enlisted in the military to escape the poor economy. So again, another 40,000 plus Montanans served the armed forces, and more than 57,000 joined up before the war ended, which is again around 10% of Montana's entire population. And again, it has the highest numbers of U.S. soldiers per capita of any U.S. state, including many of those served from Native Americans, particularly those from the Crow Nation who became code talkers. And basically, if you guys aren't aware about code talkers, they're basically the code talkers were mainly alive for espionage purposes, using little known language as a means of secret communications. They used a lot of Native American languages for their message. Particularly, they used those of Comanche, Hopi, Meskwaki, and Navajo. Navajo is the most famous by far as Navajo. So, again, Janet Rankin also voted against the war as well. Again, she's a lifelong pacifist. Of course, post World War II in the Cold War era, Montana became host to several military bases, including the Strategic Air Command at Malmstrom Air Base in Great Falls, as well as the 29th Fighter Squadron. And also, Montana at one point actually home to the largest ICBM field in the United States, around 23,500 square miles. There really wasn't too much of other history stuff in Montana. Again, Montana being a relatively new state, didn't really have a lot of other parts of history. So that wraps up a bit about our Montana. We're going to wrap up our notes here. So let's go ahead and get back out to our aircraft. So look at the scenery out here, guys. This is great. Gorgeous scenery out here. Yeah, you can see Montana's beautiful geography here. Just absolutely breathtaking. If you guys never flown in Montana, I highly recommend you guys definitely. So as of for my streams, I got the flight plans for the National Park Series we're going to be doing on Sundays. I finally got that worked out. So we got all the national park flight plans set up, so I got those ready. So when we get to we got all that ready for the flight plan. So I need to get the rest of the other flight plans and stuff going for the all country series I gotta work on too. So I hope you guys have a really cool weekend so far. I know FS Expo's been going on. There wasn't too much I was interested in. Quite some Expo. I know Wind Wing and stuff looked pretty cool. But again, I'm sticking to mine. That was some pretty cool stuff. And basically, this national park series is a lot more bush backcountry feel to it compared to some of the other series I've worked on. And this one's going to be a lot more GA focused rather than the other series. It's going to be much more backcountry sort of feel. We actually get to land in some of the backcountry stuff. So one of the more interesting things about Montana I do want to speak about, of course, is its geography. So geographically speaking, Montana is absolutely a very diverse geographic state. I think it's one of our nation's most geographically diverse states here in Montana. So what's so special about the U.S. state of Montana geographically speaking? Well, geographically, Montana is one of our most diverse states. After all, its land area is at a pretty massive 147,000 square miles. Which, if you want to put into context, that's slightly larger than the countries of Japan and Germany. Pretty crazy. It's a big state, and it's the fourth largest state in the U.S. And of our landlocked states, it is the largest by a pretty considerable margin. I believe the next biggest landlocked state in the country behind Montana, probably Idaho. Idaho or Nevada, probably our next largest landlocked state. But of course, there is one thing that has divided much of Montana. It's the Continental Divide, which splits the state between the east and western halves of Montana is the Continental Divide. In fact, most of Montana's 100 or more mountain ranges are in the west half of the state. And much of it is part of the Northern Rocky Mountains. Of course, the Bitterroot Mountains are actually formed here in Montana, which is mainly to the very west. And they divide the state from Idaho. Are the Northern Rocky. Of course, the northern section is where mountains give way to prairie, is part of the Rocky Mountain front, and most well known is the Lewis Range, which you can find in Glacier National Park. And trust me, we'll get to Glacier International Park series. We'll get to be visiting Glacier National Park, one of the prettiest parks in the country. One of the absolute beautiful ones. Of course, the area east of the state is well known for plains, and they're most well known for a lot of the plains. And other rock formations east of the divide are in the north central, are known for its Missouri Breaks and its rock formations. Of course, east of the divide is also got a lot of your plains and stuff. And a lot of the and apparently in northeast Montana you can find the Hell Creek Formation, which of course you can find lots of dinosaur fossils in northeast Montana in the Hell Creek Formation. You can find tons of dinosaur fossils. And you can find them in Bozeman's Museum of the Rockies. And they found lots of different dinosaur fossils, ceratopsian fossils, tyrannosaurs fossils, hadrosaurs, ankylosaurs, others. But yeah, you find a lot of sorts of dinosaur stuff. You basically find a lot of stuff here. Of course, Montana is also a very diverse state. You can find tons of flora and fauna through the state. Vegetation includes those of various pines and fir trees, but also spruce, aspen, birch, red cedar, hemlock, ash, and Rocky Mountain maple tree. They cover around 25% of the state. You can even find some species of sagebrush and cactus in some of the more drier regions of it. And of course, Montana has a lot of diverse fauna species. 14 different amphibian species, 9 different fish species, 117 mammal species, 20 reptile species, and 427 bird species, as well as 10,000 invertebrate species throughout the state. Fun fact, if you want to find grizzly bears in the lower 48, go to Montana. It has the largest grizzly bear population in the lower 48. And it also has 5 endangered species in black-footed ferret, whooping crane, the least-turned pallid sturgeon, and white sturgeon, as well as several other threatened species like the grizzly bear, Canadian lynx, and bull trout. Of course, the wolf population was reintroduced and has stabilized around 900 animals. So yes, Montana definitely has a lot of really cool animals and stuff to live in the state. So that's why Montana can find some great wildlife here. And finally, for the last bit of notes for this part of the stream, Montana is a large state with various geographic variation. As a result, it has a very, very mild climate, and I actually really mean it. It's very varied. Western Montana is, if you look to the west, you can see Western Montana is known for its dry subarctic temperatures and is much more moderate compared to the semi-arid conditions of the rest of Montana. The western half is mountainous and is interrupted by large valleys. East Montana's plains and badlands, broken by hills and isolated mountain ranges. And the variation leads to great variation in temperature too. For example, the warmest temperature ever recorded highest summer temperature ever recorded in Montana is 117 degrees in Glendive in 1883, and Medicine Lake on July 5th, 1937. Generally throughout the state, summer nights are cool and pleasant, and is less common in higher altitudes. However, the coldest temperature in Montana, believe it or not, is also the coldest of any of the contiguous 48. On a day in January 20th, 1954, negative 70 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 56 degrees Celsius was recorded in a gold mine camp in Rogers Pass. Yes, negative 70. And it was due to the fact that a lot of the cold spells are a result of the cold continental air coming from Canada. And as a result, it releases in Chinooks, which could also sell in warm parts of Montana too. In fact, you could also find Loma, and apparently had the most extreme temperature change in the United States. As a Chinook wind blew and raised the temperature from negative 54 degrees Fahrenheit to 49 degrees. Over 100 degrees Fahrenheit of temperature difference. So yes, Montana definitely is a very diverse state, not just geography, but also diverse in both wildlife and diverse in terms of climate. We're about to get pretty much getting closer to our first stop here in Bozeman. As we're gonna head up closer to Bozeman, but look at the scenery, guys. Gorgeous here. What gorgeous scenery we got here today in Montana, guys. This is beautiful. So next week, our next two U.S. states will be covered on our trip. Parts 42 and 43 will be coming up. The U.S. states of Washington and Idaho will be coming next week. So be ready, guys, for the flight plans for these trips. Like I said, I'm very happy to be thankful for that. Oh my gosh. I just saw the Brennan Bar and I saw Gibbo's shirt. Got pictures of Murph all over it. Jesus. Oh no. Jesus. So, we're going to be heading to Bozeman very shortly. We're about to reach our first stop here in Bozeman, Montana. We're about to hit Bozeman. I really do like this plane, and I want to do more flying with this plane. It'd be really cool. I really do like this plane. I want to do some more flying with it. Maybe do it with some actual, actual water to land. But yes, we're going to get our new hub launched soon. According to Six Knots, he says he's going to get this hub launched very soon. So we're going to get our new hub not too much longer. It'll be next week. We'll get to Bozeman pretty shortly. Let's go ahead and top up Bozeman as we reach our way over to the city. Bozeman is actually Montana's second largest city, population of 118,000. Its metro area is 118,000. Its city is 53,000, making it Montana's fourth largest city. Bozeman gets its name after John Bozeman, a pioneer frontier frontiersman from Pickens County, Georgia. And the town was platted in 1864. But of course, what Bozeman's now most known for is for tourism. And one particular thing that was founded was the Museum of the Rockies in 1957. And it's Montana's premier natural history and cultural history museum, and houses permanent exhibits on dinosaurs, geology, and Montana history. And brought the museum a national notice for his fossil discoveries in the 80s. Nowadays, Bozeman receives a new influx of new visitors and residents due to its plentiful recreation activities like fly fishing, hiking, whitewater kayaking, and mountain climbing. But it's definitely pretty cool here in Bozeman. It's a great city. A lot of places you can visit and stuff all across state. Really cool city. I definitely enjoy being. Thanks, Typhon, for getting rid of the bots. So our first stop today will be in Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport. Will be our first stop of the day. And it's actually Montana's busiest airport since 2013. It was originally named Gallatin Field in 1941. But it changed more into Bozeman Yellowstone to associate with Yellowstone National Park. And it continued to expand to 2020-2021 to a record 31 non-stop destinations, as many more airlines have been at this airport, including Legion Air, Alaska, Avelo, and Southwest. And Bozeman continued to add even more expansion in 2024. $180 million include 3 new batch carousels, security, and adding more gates. And expected to complete within the next 4.5 years. But Bozeman flies to a lot of different destinations across the country. From big airports like Chicago O'Hare, LA, Las Vegas, Atlanta, and New York, to smaller airports like Boise, Burbank, Portland, and Dallas, Love, and Nashville. But yes, this airport got a lot of passengers. And just last year, a new record happened, 2.6 million passengers, which is insane. This airport has seen some insane growth over the last couple of years. Absolutely nuts. And it makes sense considering it's the gateway to Yellowstone. It's much bigger than the other airport known for being the gateway to Yellowstone, Jackson Hole. And Jackson Hole is a really cool airport, by the way. You never flown to Jackson Hole. Cool airport to visit. So we're gonna go ahead and make our way to Bozeman pretty soon. I'm gonna go ahead and descend down to 6,000 feet. about to reach Bozeman. What a beautiful area of the country. This is Bozeman, Montana, home of Montana State University, by the way. It's really cool, like, we get to fly some of the more unique planes here. Here it is, guys. This is Bozeman. And flight. Oh. Here, guys. First landing of the day here in Bozeman. This is a very cool airport to take off and land. we'll just park here for a bit. We'll park here and look at the beautiful scenery here in this part of Montana. We're going to be taking a little bit about a couple minute break, and we'll do we're going to get ready to get back into the air, guys. We'll be back in the air very shortly, and we're going to get ready for our next leg. We're going to be flying our way over to Boot and then back to Helena. So we're going to be flying up to 9,000 feet for the next leg. We're going to go ahead and fly our way over to 9,000 feet. We're going to climb to 9,000 feet. We're going to be heading to Boot next. So we're going to be heading here next. So as we climb up to 9,000 feet, we'll be talking about a bit more of our notes. So guys, I hope you're enjoying this trip into Montana. I know it's been an absolutely beautiful day. So we're going to be making our way over to Boot. So about Montana, economically speaking, Montana's economy is around 67 billion US dollars in 2022, which is actually 47th in the country, which is the fourth least economically generating state, and its per capita income is 28th in the nation, $60,984. Of course, Montana is a hub for microbrewing a beer, which is third in the nation of craft breweries per capita in 2011. Also, significant industry in lumber and mineral extraction, which include that of gold, coal, silver, talc, and vermiculite. Of course, tourism is also very important in the economy, with more than 10 million visitors a year to Glacier National Park, Flathead Lake, and the Missouri River headwaters. The site of the Little Battle of Little Bighorn, and 3 of the 5 entrances of Yellowstone are also pretty big to Montana's economy. In the 80s, the absence of a sales tax became economic deleterious to communities bound to state's tourism. So as a result, Montana did pass a law of a resort tax, and more than half of its income comes from tourism. That's right, Montana is one of the few states in the country that does not have a sales tax. However, there is property taxes to all sorts of other stuff. In the state's unemployment rate is 3.2%. Yeah, it's pretty low among all the best states. Hard. Pretty interesting stuff. In terms of other news, I mean, next week will be 4th of July stuff. Oh yeah, one more thing. But our next Friday stream is 4th of July, which is the United States of America's Independence birthday. Hmm. So, we're about to make our way over to Boot pretty shortly. And speaking of which, Montana's. Oh yeah, and Canada Day's on Tuesday too. Canada Day's also just 2 days before. So culturally speaking, Montana has a pretty rich amount of culture and events. Of course, many well-known artists, photographers, and authors have documented the land of Montana over the past 130 years. One such painter is the cowboy artist Charles Marion Russell. He created more than 2,000 paintings of cowboys, Native Americans, and landscapes set in the West U.S. and Alberta, Canada. You can find his museum in Great Falls, which hosts more than 2,000 of his artworks, personal art objects, and artifacts. You can also find the pioneer feminist author, filmmaker, media personality Mary McLean, when she made international fame for her memoirs of her 3 months in Boot, Story of Mary McLean. And of course, she's referred to Boot throughout the rest of her career, and it is still controversial for her mixture of both criticism and love for the city and its people. And many Montana authors have documented their life, Montana, including that of Pulitzer Prize winner Wallace Earl Stegner from Great Falls, and a few other people. In addition to this, Montana has several cultural events. Bozeman was actually once well known as the sweet pea capital of the nation due to the sweet pea, and they host a sweet pea carnival that lasted between 1906 and 1916. But of course, it was revived in 1977 as an arts festival, and it grew to one of the large ones in the state. But of course, one of the most well-known things in Montana is the Crow Fair and Rodeo, held since 1909 near Hardin, and it's the largest Northern Native American gathering in the continent, with nearly 45,000 spectators and participants. And they host the Native American Days in Browning since 1952. Yes, there's quite a bit of cultural events here in Montana. So I wanted to ask you guys if you got some really cool plans this week. I know it's gonna be a whole week since I won't be seeing you guys again. So my plan this week, I know I got a baseball game coming up on the 3rd of July this upcoming week. And then the rest of the week, I got to work on getting more flight plans ready for my series and stuff. I'll get more of those. So we're going to be arriving to Boot very shortly. Is Boot, Montana. Will be our next waypoint. Will be in Boot. So Boot, Montana will be our next waypoint. So Boot is a city county, and the county seat is Silverbow County, Montana. It's Montana's 5th largest city with a population of 34,494 people. And it's served by air by Burt Mooney Airport. It was established back in 1864 as a mining camp in the Northern Rocky Mountains, and it experienced rapid growth in the late 19th century and the first industrial city of the state. In its heyday between the late 19th and early 20th centuries, it was home to one of the largest copper boom towns in the American West. It drew a lot of opportunities for immigrants, particularly those of Irish descent. In fact, as of 2017, Boot has the largest population of Irish Americans per capita than any U.S. city in the country. And it was also the site of several various historical events relating to its mine industry and labor union politics, most notably the labor riot of 1914. Despite the dominance of the Anaconda Copper Mining Company, Boot was never a company town. Other events also include the speculative mine disaster of 1917, the most deadly event in U.S. history in terms of rock mining. And of course, throughout its history, its mining and smelting operations generate more than 40 billion US dollars worth of ore. However, has resulted in numerous environmental implications for the city, and as a result, it's home to the largest Superfund site in the nation. And it's home to the Berkeley Pit, former copper mine, which is about 1 mile long and half 1 mile wide in a depth of 1,700 feet. But yes, Boot is a very famous historic town, and you can also find the Uptown Historic District as well, which has nearly 6,000 properties. It's one of the largest historic districts in the country, by the way, over 6,000 properties. Yeah, but Boot is a really important city if you know about your Montana history. Very important, especially for. We're going to get there pretty soon. Once we get to Boot, we'll be making our way over to Helena, the state capital. We'll be making our way there. We'll prepare for our second stop in Helena. I really do appreciate you guys. This has been a lot of fun. This state itself is just gorgeous. If you guys ever got the chance to fly in Montana, definitely do it. Got some amazing scenery, folks. So here we go, guys. We're about to make our way to boots. The reason I wanted to do this was so we can get a little bit closer to the line. So this here is boot, by the way. So this is the Berkeley Pit, by the way. This is the super fun site here in Boot. You can see that all around here, of course. This is downtown Boot. Yeah, you can see the massive super fun. Downtown. There's we're gonna go ahead and there's Boot, and then there's the Berkeley. Yeah, there's downtown Boot, and now we make our way through the massive pit. Berkeley Pit, and this is the entire copper mine thing. All of this is copper mine related. Pretty crazy, huh? So let's talk a little bit about sports for a bit. So Montana doesn't really have any major league sports. Again, this is one of the least populated states in the country. Due to its small population and dispersed population, there are no major league teams. However, minor league teams do play in state, and the longest heritage state has been baseball. Montana is home to 4 independent teams of the Pioneer League: the Billings Mustangs, the Great Falls Voyagers, the Missoula Paddleheads, and the Glacier Ridge Range Ridgers are all located for minor league baseball. In addition, college sports are a big deal here in the States, particularly its universities of Montana and Montana State are the 2 largest schools, and they mainly play in the Big Sky, and they have a very strong rivalry athletically. And finally, more importantly, Montana also has some really cool sports, including ski jumping champion skiing Hall of Famer Casper Oldenson was the captain of the Olympic team in 1936. And U.S. has also produced 2 champions on men's figure skating from Great Falls, John Misha Petkovich and Scott Davis. But also, in addition, there's also Montanans who did other sport achievements. For example, in 1889, Spokane became the first and only Montana horse to win the Kentucky Derby. In 1904, a battle team of young Native Americans, Fort Shaw, went undefeated their previous season, and they became world champions, defeating all the other challenging teams in the Louisiana Purchase Expedition. And finally, in 1923, the controversial Jack Dempsey-Tommy Gibson fights was won by Dempsey, was took place in Shelby, Montana. So those are some sport achievements here from the state. That's going to be about sports here in Montana. Not really too much to go at. Yeah, this Sea Star is really fun. We're about to make our way to Helena. So, and then of course, in terms of outdoor recreation, um, and then going part of the other part with sports, Montana provides year-round recreation activities for residents and visitors, including hiking, fishing, hunting, watercraft recreation, camping, golfing, cycling, horseback riding, and skiing are all very popular activities for outdoor recreation. But of course, I've got to say the big thing about Montana has been fishing. In fact, Montana has been a destination for world-class trout fishery since the 30s. And fly fishing for several species of native and trout rivers have been popular throughout both residents and tourists. And there's a lot of fisheries throughout the state of lake trout and kokanee salmon in the west, walleye, northern pike, smallmouth, and largemouth bass can be found in the half of Montana. Of course, there's also bow and general hunting seasons for other animals here, including elk, pronghorn antelope, whitetail, and mule deer, as well as limited numbers for moose, mountain goats, and bighorn. And finally, skiing is also very popular as Montana has millions of acres of cross-country skiing throughout 9 of its national forests in Glacier National Park. There's also 13 private cross-country skiing resorts in the state. Well, snowmobiling are also pretty popular here too. Are also very popular here. Well, so yeah, lots of outdoor stuff. Montana is haven for a lot of outdoor recreation in the United States. A lot of great places to outdoor recreation. So we're going to be arriving to Helena very shortly. So Helena is Montana's state capital, and it was founded in 1864 as a gold camp during the Montana Gold Rush. And due to it, it became a very wealthy city with 50 millionaires inhabiting the city by 1888. And the concentration of wealth contributed to the city's prominent and elaborate Victorian architecture. It's currently the sixth most populous city in Montana with 32,000 people. It's also our nation's fifth least populous state capital. And it's served by Helena Regional Airport. Now, one of the really cool things about Helena, and as a result, due to the fact it's a state capital, Helena is a very important area um, for economic stability, thanks to an area being rich in silver and lead deposits. And allows it as a major hub activity for the county, state, and federal level. Here too. Yeah, that's why in Helena you can find all sorts of lavish Victorian homes and stuff all over. It's a really cool city. Tons of very famous, wealthy people live in this city, and there are a lot of them. You can find some very elaborate buildings. Of course, its main airport is Helena Regional, which is going to be our next stop. Is Helena Regional, which is mainly for GA, but it does have limited airline service to Seattle, Salt Lake City, and Denver. So I'm going to send down to So we're going to descend down to 5,500 feet. So we're going to go down, and we're going to fly over the state capital, and we'll land here at Helena Regional. I think it has photogrammetry, so we're going to see some beautiful photogrammetry here in this part of Montana. Hmm. So I hope you guys liking this Montana scenery. Montana is absolutely gorgeous. And if you like this scenery stuff, we're going to be doing in a couple weeks. We'll be doing our national park series. I'm very excited to get that up and going for all you guys. And we're also doing the all country series as well. So we'll be touring all the countries in the world. This is Helena. Helena would be our state capital of Montana. There's our state capital here in Montana. We're going to make our second landing of the day here in Helena, Montana. Prepare for the wind. Yeah, very neat aircraft. Plane is very neat plane. After that, we just have one last leg left to go, guys. Can you guys believe we only got one leg left? Um, we'll stop here for just a bit as we prepare for the next. Here we go, guys. We're going to climb to 8,500 feet the next leg. So we're going to go on for 84 nautical miles as we say goodbye to Helena. And we say hello to Missoula, our last stop of the day. So let's talk about transportation here in Montana for a bit as we climb up to our altitude. Transportation speaking, railroads have been a historic part of transportation since the 1880s. Historically, the state was traversed by the main lines of the three east-west transcontinental routes of the Milwaukee Road, Great Northern, and Northern Pacific. Nowadays, the BNSF Railway, the state's largest railroad, the main transcontinental route incorporates the former Great Northern line across the state. And also, Amtrak's Empire Railroad also runs to the north of the states, including Libby, Whitefish, West Glacier, Essex, East Glacier Park, Browning, and more, the northern part of the state. In terms of air service, Bozeman Yellowstone is the busiest airport in the state of Montana, surpassing Billings in 2013. Other airports include Missoula International, Great Falls International, Glacier Park International, Helena Regional, Burt Mooney, and Yellowstone Airport. In terms of road service, US 10 was the primary east-west highway route of Montana, but nowadays it's served by I-90 and I-94. The only north-south highway is Interstate I-15. And believe it or not, North Dakota and Montana and South Dakota are the only states to share a land border that's not traversed by a paved road. So that's a pretty fun, interesting fact. Keep an eye on. I'm going to be flying here. Yeah, what a beautiful state. Sceneries. We're now entering to Missoula. Of course, to the east, you can actually hit to the Flathead Mountains, of course, the Flatheads, where we're going to be visiting on our national park journey. In fact, I got a flight plan for Glacier set up. So here are some fun facts about the treasure state Montana. There's plenty of some fun facts. So here are some fun facts about Montana. Fishtail, town Fishtail is named either for Mr. Fishtail who lived in this area, or the area Indians preferred to for some of the peaks in nearby Beartooth mountain range that look like a tail of a fish, which gives it its name for it as well. In Glacier National Park, you can find the Go Into the Sun Road. It's one of the most scenic drives in America. If you guys haven't checked out, we're going to talk more about the Go Into the Sun Road um, International Park series for Glacier. In Montana, believe it or not, you can find more populations of deer, elk, and antelope than human population in Montana. 46 out of the state's 56 countries are considered frontier countries, with an average population of 6 or fewer per square mile. Yes, a lot of wilderness still out there in much of Montana. Virginia City, which was founded in 1863, the most complete original town of its kind in the United States. The next fact is in the first territory capital, Bannock, has been preserved as a ghost town along the Golding Grasshopper Creek. And believe it or not, Montana is also home to one of the shortest rivers in the world, Roe River in Great Falls, and both rivers vary lengths from 58 to 200 feet. And the source is the Giant Springs, the largest freshwater spring in the United States. But yes, home to one of the smallest rivers in. So that's some pretty fun facts about Montana, and here's some notable people to keep in mind too in Montana. Some of these people include author Dorothy Baker from Missoula, Dirk Benedict, a well-known actor from Helena, labor union official from Boot, W.A. Tony Boyle, Dana Carvey from Missoula, actor Gary Cooper from Helena, Chet Huntley, journalist and TV newscaster from Cardell, Montana. How about the world famous Evel Knievel, daredevil motorcyclist from Boot, Hall of Fame football player Jerry Kramer from Jordan, Montana, Jeanette Rankin, the first woman elected to Congress from Missoula, David Lynch from Missoula, Martha Ray from Boot, and finally Lester C. Thoreau, economist and educator from Livingston, Montana. Yeah, that is it for some of the famous people and stuff from beautiful Montana. We'll be getting to Missoula very shortly. We don't have too much. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you guys have some really cool plans for the rest of the weekend. I know we're cruising pretty quickly in this Pony in the Sea Star. This thing is a lot of fun. Happy to take this in the air. So we're gonna be heading to Missile pretty soon. So, and don't worry, I'll get up within the next couple days or so, within the next 2 weeks or so. I'm gonna get the National Park Series coming up, the Flight Sim Series, and the um cruising around 191 knots. We're just about 47 nautical miles from our next stop. We're gonna get there pretty soon. So we're going to go ahead and head our way over to Missoula. If you guys aren't aware about this beautiful city, Missoula is Montana's second most populous city, actually, with 73,000 people. It's located in the confluence of the Blackfoot and Bitterroot rivers, and it's the hub of the Five Valleys it's known for. Missoula was settled from 1858, including William T. Hamilton, who established a train post, Captain Richard Grant, and David Patee, and it was founded in 1860 as Hellgate Train Post. Though it was renamed to Missoula Mills, later shortened to Missoula, which is the name today. However, what really grew the city was in the late 19th century with the Northern Pacific Railway. Brought rapid growth and maturation through the local lumber industry. In 1893, Missoula was chosen as the state's first university, which was founded as the University of Montana, as well as the U.S. Forest Service headquarters. Was also found here too. Of course, the lumber industry disappeared in the 90s, and now its largest employers are the University of Montana, Missoula County Public Schools, and its two hospitals. Of course, Missoula is most well known for its college university, the University of Montana Grizzlies. Pretty successful in multiple sports, most notably football. And finally, our final stop is Missoula, Montana Airport, Kilo Mike Sierra Oscar. This airport is Missoula's main airport. In 2024, over 1 million people flew out of this airport. It's been developed from the first land strip in 1923 south of the university. But the current airport was settled now was in 1935. And it mainly flows to destinations across the United States, mostly in the western half of the country, with destinations such as Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, and Denver are some of its big destinations. Out of Missoula, Montana. Well, that's it, guys. That is our final step. Good to see a Planet Neutral. If you guys don't know about Planet Neutral, he's a really great friend, longtime friend of the community. Good to see a Planet Neutral from my local area. Great streamer. You're doing a new river, the Zambezi River. I saw that in the announcements this morning on your Discord. This should be pretty fun. Going into Africa, that's for sure. Should be a lot of fun. On the Zambezi should be a lot of fun. Very long river, by the way. I mean, it flows through from Mozambique all the way to Victoria Falls. And it flows through there, gets to Victoria Falls, and it makes its way up to the Congo. Pretty cool stuff. Hey, Complete Freedom, good to see you, my dude. Hope you're doing well. Angola, then Zambia. Nice. Good to see you, Complete Freedom. I hope you're doing well, my dude. I hope you're having a great day yourself. But here's Complete Freedom's channel. If you guys aren't aware about his channel, he's actually a real life pilot. He currently flies now in real life. But I want to give a shout out to a really good friend of mine too. I hope you're having a great day, dude. Thank you so much for coming here, guys. Really do appreciate it. Some really good friends in the community. You guys are more than welcome to always come here. So Missoula, absolutely beautiful city. We're going to descend pretty shortly to 4,500 feet. Yes, we're flying the Dornier Sea Star today, which is the aircraft you see here. Very unique servo prop seaplane. You're more than welcome, Complete Freedom. We're about to hit Missoula. But yes, we're actually in our last, we just started the last part of our journey, part 5 of our journey of MSFS 2024. We're about a couple more weeks until we're done with this series. And yes, I will also be doing a bonus stream of Washington, D.C. as well. We will be doing that as well. So we'll be doing that. Next week will be, how many more weeks? 1, 2, Washington, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona, Alaska, and then Hawaii. And then finally Washington, D.C. So yes, we got a couple more weeks until we're officially done with this series. I can't believe we're nearly going to be done with this. Which I can't wait. I'm very, like I said, I love this series. Get to explore all 50 states. It's just really cool. I mean, we get to fly to a whole bunch of American destinations. We never really get to fly normally. How many times am I going to fly normal in GA in Kansas? Or North and South Dakota? Not very often, so this is a really nice way to fly into these destinations we don't normally get to fly. That's why I really like this journey so much. Yeah, to replace this series, we're going to come up with so to replace this series coming up, we're going to be doing Friday is going to be all countries, so we're going to visit each country and explore each of it. We're going to fly pretty much into a lot of different destinations. So, for example, we'll fly. Our first country is going to be Afghanistan, by the way. So I need to get a flight plan for Afghanistan set up. But we're going to be flying through much of the country. Is Afghanistan. Then another part we're going to be doing a couple of countries, and then Sundays is our National Park Series, which is one I'm very much looking forward to because we're going to do more backcountry GA sort of things. So we're going to do more bush plane stuff, and we're going to do more backcountry stuff, which is something I love. The backcountry GA sort of. We're going to visit all these national. Very excited for it. Because you guys all know me, I love my bush planes. I love GA, so this will be an amazing thing. Super excited for that. I'm very much looking forward to doing it. Love doing the GA stuff. I like finding the Kit Foxes, the Savage Nordens, X Cubs, Beavers. This is going to be the series for those. And so I'm very much forward to all. We're going to officially hit Missoula here very shortly. So there's Mount Jumbo, by the way. To our right is Mount Jumbo. About to reach Missoula very shortly. Missoula is definitely a really cool city. It's absolutely gorgeous. Tons of really cool places, things to do. But my family actually in real life is talking about wanting to visit Montana. So I told her that we may go to Jackson, visit Grand Teton, go to Yellowstone, drive up our way over to Bozeman for a bit, check out like Boot and Helena, and eventually end the trip in Glacier National, which would be absolutely stunning. Oh yes, the Patriots coming too. Yes, I definitely want to get that parallel 42. Hey, Big Boss Robinson, good to see you. Let's get a shot for him too. So check out Big Boss Robinson. He streams all sorts of games. He mainly does a lot of Metal Gear Solid. If you guys have never heard of the Metal Gear series, it is truly one of the best stealth games ever made. But yes, Parallel 42 Super Patriot. Yeah, that's going to be exciting. To bring that in the sim, I'm looking forward to that. Because I love their kit box. Their kit box was a long-time favorite of mine in the last sim. That plane was so much fun. Kit box. So I'm very much looking forward to the Patriot coming to the sim. The Legend Nomad is going to be really cool too. Like I said, so many really cool planes. If you guys don't remember the last sim, the Kit Fox, man, that was such a good plane. It was actually partnership with Kit Fox and Trip Palmer worked on it too, which was so cool back in the day. With lots of mods. Oh, Trip Palmer's Legend. Oh, that's right. That's his new plane, the Nomad. Oh, this is gonna be good. I wonder if Trip Palmer's gonna help out again this time, like he did last time. Pretty much looking forward to. But good to have all you guys here. We're about to make our final landing here in beautiful Missoula, Montana. Oh, that's great news, Complete Freedom. Oh, that's awesome news. That's amazing news. Because I know one of the Parallel 42 know how to work. This is great. Here we go, guys. We're gonna make our final landing of, and we're down. Beautiful. Oh, and by the way, if you guys want to check out my Discord, oh, that's pretty. Here we go, guys, and we're down. Beautiful landing, and we're park and turn off our engines here today. So, guys, thank you all so much for coming along today's stream. And always a blessing having you guys here. Welcome to Missoula, Montana. What a great way to wrap up day. Yes, there's a lot of news. The Super 727 is also pretty cool too. Yes, I'm definitely interested. I know Flight Sim Simulations isn't the greatest, but I'll keep an eye on that. So guys, thank you all so much. So we're gonna go say hello to a GA streamer. I think we're going to say hello. I'm gonna say hello to NorCali. I'm gonna say hello to More Cowbell Cody. I haven't actually rated him before, so we're gonna go ahead and say hello to Cowbell Cody, and he's currently streaming in Kentucky, so we're gonna go say hello to him. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you back on Friday. We'll be seeing you in beautiful Washington State. Should be absolutely gorgeous with all the mountains coming up. Take care, guys, and see you all soon. Goodbye, everyone.